Tonight on KPVI News at 5, a preview and all the key details for round 2 of the Democratic debates. Plus, a story sure to gross you out. What are delivery drivers doing with your food? Also, don't let the heat keep you from bringing home the catch of the day.
You're watching KPVI News at 5, news that works for you.
Good evening and thanks for watching tonight. I'm Matt Davenport.
And I'm Marlise Irby. Pocatello police have arrested a man after a shooting this afternoon.
It happened around 12:45 in the alley behind 424 North 10th Avenue, about 3 blocks from Clark Street. Police say a man and a woman were found sitting in their car parked in the alley, both with gunshot wounds to their torso. A witness provided first aid until authorities could take the victims to Portneuf Medical Center, and there's no word on their condition.
Officers quickly found the suspect, 32-year-old Stephen Holmes, and the gun used in the shooting. He's been arrested and charged with 2 counts of aggravated battery with a weapon enhancement.
And U.S. Marshals are looking for a man wanted for multiple violent crimes. Samir Sam Afraid-of-Bear is wanted for failure to appear on burglary, robbery, and aggravated battery charges out of Bingham County. He's still believed to be in the Bingham County and Bannock County area. Afraid-of-Bear is described as 5 feet 5 inches tall, 165 pounds, with brown eyes and black hair. He has a small X by his right eye and has tattoos on both forearms. He has violent tendencies and may be armed with a gun or other weapon. If you see Afraid-of-Bear, do not approach him. Call the U.S. Marshal's office at 208-317-2904 or your local law enforcement agency. An Idaho Falls man already serving prison time on sexual abuse conviction has been sentenced to more time after a new victim came forward. 57-year-old Thomas Dale Roberts was sentenced yesterday to up to 16 years in prison for 2 new sex abuse charges. All his charges stem from his conviction of sexually abusing children at a daycare. He wasn't an employee of the daycare, but lived in the same building. Roberts would have been eligible for parole this year, but the new sentence means he will remain in prison till at least 2023. The new victim told police that's why she came forward.
Well, the summer heat is back in full force today. Let's check in with meteorologist Michael Onavito, who is not Doug Everson, but he is filling in. Michael.
Thanks, Marlise. Yes, it's pretty toasty out there right now across the Snake River Plains. Some areas are currently in the 90s. Currently across Pocatello, it's 93 degrees. It's 92 in American Falls. 92 degrees also across McCammon. Idaho Falls, it's also 91 in your area. And across the Upper Snake Highlands into western Wyoming, even for the higher elevations, temperatures on the warm side, mainly in those 80s. And as far as any moisture goes out there, for the most part, it is pretty quiet, a much different picture than what we saw last night. We are seeing some scattered showers across the Central Mountains, also some thunderstorms and very isolated storms across the Upper Snake Highlands near Island Park and also for Yellowstone. I'll be tracking potentially the chance for maybe more for tomorrow or the rest of the week coming up later in my full forecast. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Michael. Well, if you can't stand the heat, Idaho Fish and Game has some good news for anglers. They've recently stocked up ponds in the Upper Snake area with catfish. Experts say just like us, most fish slow down and find colder water when it's hot. But catfish thrive in warmer temperatures and are often easier to catch. So if you're planning a fishing trip, you might want to consider Rexburg Nature Park, Becker Riverside, or Jim Moore Pond.
An emergency election is taking place in Bannock County next week. KPVI News That Works For You journalist Kate Gardner tells us what the election is for and who is eligible to vote.
Tight budgets have left the North Bannock County Fire District without funding.
Unfortunately, we couldn't find anything that was mutually beneficial for the individual city entities and for ourselves.
Without the help of the cities, the voters will now decide what happens next to the fire district at an emergency levy election.
The election day is August 6th. Will be at your normal polling place. So wherever you go to vote for the mayor, the school districts, and any federal or state or county candidate is the same place you would go for this particular election.
Early voting is taking place now until Friday, August 2nd, but not all Bannock County residents can vote on this levy.
Only those who would be affected by this new tax are eligible to vote at this emergency election.
Only those living in the boundaries which encompass all the land surrounded by red on this map will be able to vote. It's a temporary 2-year measure to raise the funds necessary to build the facilities and buy the equipment necessary to fight fires outside city limits.
$500,000 each year. So it's a total of $1 million, and then in year 3, it goes back to where we were. That's correct.
Currently, landowners in the area pay just over $50 a year for every $100,000 of assessed property. Fire officials don't know exactly how much each person will pay, but say it won't be more than a total of $240 per year. Election day polling places will be open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and officials want to remind voters to check if they are eligible to vote.
You have to actually be taxed on that fire district within the boundary lines of that special district.
In Pocatello, Kate Garner, KPVI News that works for you.
Now, to learn more about the polling locations and North Bannock County Fire District boundaries, you can go to our website at kpvi.com. Has your water bill been a bit high? Well, the city of Pocatello just made it easier to find out why. Today, the city announced its new Water Smart software, which allows utility billing customers to see information about their water usage. This includes average gallons used per day, use over a 2-year period, and even money-saving tips to help you conserve water. The software also gives customers the option to sign up for alerts, which will let you know if there'll be a disruption to water service or when leaks are detected. You can also send a message to utility services directly through the Water Smart, which city officials say will help the utility office be more efficient.
This will provide you the ability to look at it whenever it's convenient for you. And like I says, if you have questions, you can just send them. We'll receive them during our time. Anytime we can reduce the phone calls and the waiting for our customers is always a good thing.
And to find the link to Water Smart, you can head to our website at kpvi.com.
The University of Idaho has bought land in southern Idaho for what officials say will be the world's largest research dairy. The new property sits at the intersection of I-84 and Highway 93 near Jerome. It's going to be called the Idaho Center for Agriculture, Food, and the Environment, or CAFE for short. Officials say it's going to have a public visitor center, classrooms, and housing, hopefully up and running by 2024. The dairy itself will hold about 2,000 head of cattle.
The world's largest steam locomotive is still chugging its way to Wyoming. Big Boy is 133 feet long and weighs over 1 million pounds. It's just one of 25 steam engines built by Union Pacific in the 1940s, and now it's on its way to Wyoming in honor of the 150th anniversary of the Transcontinental Railroad. Big Boy just left Chicago this morning, which was one of the many stops on its way back to its original perch at the UP Steam Shop in Cheyenne. The locomotive is on track to be there by August 8th.
Right now,
From the long shots to the top-tier marquee matchup, Democratic presidential hopefuls are ready for round 2. That's coming up. But first, we'll send it back over to Michael Ottavino. Michael.
Thanks, Matt. Out there right now, a pretty nice evening across Idaho Falls, seeing plenty of sunshine in the sky. We're seeing clouds in the distance. Clouds will be in the forecast for tomorrow. I'll talk more about that coming up next.
You're watching KPVI News at 5 with Matt Davenport, Marlee Serby, and East Idaho's Chief Meteorologist Doug Iverson. KPVI News at 5. News that works for you. And now Storm Tracker weather with meteorologist Michael Ottavino.
It's a rather quiet evening out there across eastern Idaho. Maybe a few areas are seeing some showers and storms. Looks like across the central mountains, a few showers and even a thunderstorm is popping up. Across the Snake River Plain, we're dry, a nice change. And we are seeing very isolated storms also across the Island Park area for this evening. But again, most of eastern Idaho seeing a lot of sunshine. Looking outside right now across McCammon, a beautiful shot of the I-15 webcam. Again, trying to find a cloud in the sky. Can't really see any out there. Maybe some out in the distance, seeing a lot of blue in the sky and also plenty of sunshine. In addition to the sunshine, it feels really hot out there. Temperatures across many locations are in those 90s. Currently across Pocatello, it's 92 degrees. It's 93 across American Falls, 91 in Idaho Falls, 89 degrees currently in Rexburg and also in Blackfoot, and across the Central Mountains with your area seeing some moisture. Temperatures naturally are slightly cooler in those lower 80s. Giving you a wider view to see where all the moisture is coming from. We're still under that southwesterly flow, so all that moisture is pushing outwards from the central mountains, also away from the Island Park area. Now, southwesterly flow will be what we'll be seeing for tomorrow, giving you a wider view. That area of high pressure to our south will start to move eastward, and what that will allow for is more of that monsoonal moisture and also the monsoonal flow to return. So for tomorrow, across the Snake River Plain and across most of eastern Idaho, it won't be as sunny out there. Expect more clouds in the sky. I think most of us, we will remain rather dry out there, but across the highlands and the western Wyoming, some of this moisture that you do see could creep into your area later on tomorrow afternoon and also for tomorrow evening as well. Your forecast for tonight, low temperatures for the most part dropping into the 50s across many locations, and once all that moisture does push out of the central mountains and also the highlands and parts of western Wyoming, sky conditions for tonight will be mainly clear to partly cloudy. We'll have a low temperature tonight of 54 across Idaho Falls. It'll be 60 tonight across Pocatello, the western half of Wyoming, seeing temperatures drop into the 40s. For tomorrow, expect an increase in clouds compared to what we saw today, but temperatures, though, maybe a couple of degrees cooler, but it will still feel pretty hot out there. We'll have high temperatures mainly in those 90s. For tomorrow, 91 across Idaho Falls, 92 across Pocatello and Blackfoot. It'll be 89 degrees tomorrow in St. Anthony. Across the central mountains, will take the clouds a little bit longer to reach your area. We'll call it partly cloudy out there. You'll still be able to see some sunshine during the morning hours, high temperatures in those 80s and lower 90s. And across the highlands in western Wyoming, also expect a slight chance for some moisture later on tomorrow afternoon into the evening. I think the greatest chances of seeing this moisture will be across the Afton area and even across maybe Soda Springs. High temperatures, though, again, still pretty warm. 83 tomorrow for Jackson and 82 tomorrow in Afton. Your Southeast Idaho Chevy dealers 7-day forecast. For Pocatello, we have a chance for showers and storms on Thursday. Friday to finish off the work week, mainly sunny, but then on Saturday, we do have a chance for very isolated showers and storms. I don't think they will be widespread or necessary to cancel any outdoor plans, but just be aware of that. You could see one in the afternoon. For the most part, those high temperatures stay in those 90s. Across Idaho Falls, your 7-day forecast, 90s for tomorrow. Chance of showers and storms on Thursday and also for Saturday. For the Teton area, Jackson, Afton, and Driggs, chance of showers and storms Wednesday, Thursday, and then well into the weekend and also for next week. And across the central mountains, Salmon, Chalice, and Mackey, partly sunny for tomorrow. A chance of showers and storms on Thursday and Friday. Your brainstormers question for this evening. This July in Pocatello has had more 90-degree days than last July. True or false? We'll have the answer after the break. Matt, Marlise, back to you.
All right, thank you, Michael. Well, experts are urging consumers to be proactive following yet another data breach, where you can find the information to do so coming up.
You're watching KPVI News at 5. News that works for you.
In just hours, Democratic presidential hopefuls will go face-to-face in the second round of debates.
This showdown is in Motor City, where a crowded field of contenders are looking for some separation.
Jay Gray is in Detroit right now with a closer look.
Right now, the spotlight is focused on the historic Fox Theater, where for 2 nights, 20 candidates will gather on this stage for what could be a political free-for-all.
I expect fireworks. Each of these candidates is going to have to distinguish themselves one from the other.
Mr. Vice President, quick question.
Joe Biden will likely be the primary target. A new poll shows the former vice president has a double-digit lead over the crowded field, surging 12 points in the past month.
You also worked with them to oppose busing.
And after a rough first debate, Biden says he's, quote, not going to be as polite this time. The candidates may find some common ground when it comes to President Trump's social media rant against Representative Elijah Cummings, calling his Baltimore district a, quote, disgusting rat and rodent-infested mess. Today, he defended the posts.
People have called from Baltimore thanking me so much because all that money that's been spent over 20 years has been stolen and wasted by people like Elijah Cummings.
The second debate is being held in the heart of the struggling Midwest manufacturing corridor, a traditionally Democratic region that turned red in 2016.
Are you ready to talk about revitalizing our state and the Midwest altogether?
Voters demanding answers in tonight's showdown here. Jay Gray, NBC News, Detroit.
And tonight's group of 10 includes several candidates with ties to the Midwest, hoping to have a bit of a home field advantage.
Last night we told you about hackers targeting Capital One and millions of its customers. On NBC Nightly News, Joling Kent has important information you need to know on how to protect yourself in the latest big data breach.
It's yet another record breach. Capital One disclosing that 100 million people here in the U.S. and 6 million in Canada have been affected by a hack. And the breached information includes birth dates, addresses, social security numbers, and the whole usual can of worms that we've been reporting on over the past several years. The suspect, though, this time is a bit different. The FBI identifying a 33-year-old woman, her name is Paige Thompson, out of Seattle, as the suspect, and she has been charged with fraud. There has been evidence showing exactly how she carried this out and how she bragged about it. So coming up tonight on NBC Nightly News, we're going to walk you through exactly what happened, and we're also going to give you some tips on how to better protect yourself as these hacks just keep on coming.
What if simply moving to a different zip code once you reach retirement could add years to your life? Health news that works for you is next.
American can expect to live about 78 years, depending on factors like income and overall health. But you can change that by moving. The National Bureau of Economic Research found that seniors who move to certain locations in retirement could add or take a year from their lives. The 5 best rated areas are all in New York and Florida, with the best city being Yonkers, New York. And moving to Lake Charles, Louisiana could shorten life by 9 months. Las Vegas and Salt Lake City also lowered life expectancy. And if you plan on going swimming in a local lake, there's an important warning you need to hear. It involves something called swimmer's itch, and it can be a real problem. Dr. Frank McGeorge has some simple steps to help you avoid this icky illness.
Lake living is great until the water you depend on for fun and sport carries a parasite that burrows into your skin. That's exactly what causes swimmer's itch, a parasite that requires 2 other things to multiply and invade: snails and certain birds like merganser or mallard ducks and Canada geese. Michigan is a hub for much of the research into the life cycle of the parasite that causes swimmer's itch. It was first discovered back in 1928 in a Michigan lake. Here's what happens. The parasites infect the bird, who then pass parasite eggs in their feces. Those eggs hatch and invade snails, where they multiply into the form that can burrow into a person's skin. Now, humans aren't the target, birds are, but that doesn't stop them from trying, and it's the attempt to literally get under your skin that causes the problem. When the larvae die, they create an intense allergic response that leads to the red bumps and itching. It isn't contagious, and they aren't harmful as long as the bumps don't become infected, but the itching will leave you miserable for days. The treatment for the itching and redness are antihistamines and steroid creams. There are a few things you can do to prevent the problem. Using waterproof sunscreen is thought to help by creating a barrier over your skin to the parasite. Also, ask if swimmer's itch has been an issue where you plan to swim. If it is, don't get in.
And after swimming in waters with lots of ducks or geese, or that's marshy or has lots of snails, shower immediately and towel off completely. Also avoid feeding ducks and geese, so that can bring in parasites. And next time you're starving at home with no food in the house, you may want to drive to a restaurant instead of ordering from a delivery service. Distributors U.S. Foods questioned 1,500 respondents. 28% of drivers hired by delivery apps admitted to taking food from deliveries, and 54% say they've been tempted to do so because it smells so good. Also recorded in the survey, 85% of customers wanted restaurants to use packaging that showed if anyone had pilfered a portion of their grub. Well, here's one more look at today's Brainstormers question. We'll have the answer coming up.
You're watching KPVI News at 5. News that works for you.
In what could very well be a crime against Idaho, a Pennsylvania woman has turned herself in after allegedly urinating on potatoes at Walmart.
It happened last week in the town of West Mifflin. Walmart checked security footage after an employee spotted the urine on the floor by the potatoes. It's unclear if she urinated on more produce.
Police say the woman, named Grace Brown, turned herself in with an attorney after detectives identified her through security footage. No charges have been filed yet, but police expect her to be charged with criminal mischief, open lewdness, disorderly conduct, and public drunkenness. Just for the record, ooh and ooh.
Yeah, we've moved from licking ice cream.
What is this world coming to?
Potatoes.
Man, it's escalating out of control. Out of control. All right, let's take a look at our brainstormers question for tonight.
All right, this July in Pocatello has had more days in the 90s than last July. True or false?
I went false.
This is an easy one.
What?
Angelo, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with false.
And I'm going to say false as well.
There we go. We're all winners tonight. Look
Yay.
at that. The answer is false. We've only had 14 this July. Last July, we had 28. It was a hot one.
We had that string, that record string of 90s.
Into August, we had 30 days.
Yep.
All right, we'll keep these coming all week.
Yes.
Right. Well, KPVI News doesn't stop here. For the latest news, weather, and local updates, download the KPVI News app for your phone or tablet.